Welcome everybody to our webinar about HeiQ XReflex in action, elevating heat retention for textiles. My name is HeiQ Romero. I am a digital marketing manager at HeiQ and I will be guiding you through the webinar today. We will have 30 minutes of presentations followed by 15 minutes of Q&A, so questions and answers. You can ask questions already during the webinar by using the Q&A button. Now, let me introduce our speakers today. First up, we have Kate Mayava. Kate is a CEO of HX, and she is also Vice President, Vice President Brand Force Australasia at HeiQ. Kate has more than 20 years of experience in the industry. Before she came to HeiQ, she used to work for Old Navy, Under Armour, Young One, to mention just a few. Next up, we have Tom Hussey. Tom is CEO and co-founder of XEFCO. Passionate about innovation and creative problem solving, Tom previously served as head of research and development at HEIQ. His experience in developing highly functional products and material technologies has been pivotal to XEFCO's success since its inception 5.5 years ago. Now, our guest speaker today, our next one, is Hugo de Bruyere. Hugo is Global Director of Product Apparel at Salomon. Born and raised in the French Alps, amongst avid outdoor enthusiasts, Hugo has 20+ years of experience in the action sports and outdoor industry. He spent the last 10 years in global functions, working for global companies like Columbia, the sportswear company, and Amerisports in the US, before joining Salomon. Our last guest speaker today is Nick Brandenberger. Nick is Chief Marketing Officer at Mammut. Born and raised in Switzerland, he went to school in Zurich and later to university in St. Gallen. His professional background lies in FMCG, so fast-moving consumer goods and technology. While Nick is relatively new to outdoor sports marketing, he's passionate about snow and dirt, and he knows what outdoorsmen and women are looking for and like. Okay, this concludes my part at the beginning. I will now hand over to our first speaker, Kate.
Thanks, Rahel. Hope you can all see my screen now. So
yeah,
I'm the CEO of HeiQ Innovation and working for HeiQ. So HeiQ, as many of you will know, is a technology company who really focus on being able to differentiate, to innovate. Our driving force is to make everyday products more sustainable whilst delivering superior levels of hygiene, comfort, or protection. As you can see, we have a wide range of product mix that we offer in all sorts of different categories, but today we're going to discuss XReflex. So XReflex is a joint venture between HeiQ and XEFCO, Tom, who you met earlier, and we have a concept to bring high-tech technologies to the textile industry. And XReflex is one of these technologies which really excels in doing so. We stand for improvements in functionality and environmental sustainability. XEFCO itself is an Australian technology company focused on the development of advanced coating technologies. XReflex, the beauty of being thinner, lighter, and warmer. So the human body loses heat through evaporation, conduction, and convection. Heat is continually produced in the body, which you call metabolic heat, and also continually being emitted to the surroundings. Thermal radiation from the body is heat loss in the form of far infrared rays, electromagnetic waves. So we'll all be currently familiar with existing insulation materials to try and stop radiant heat loss. So they create air gaps to trap air, and what's commonly used, down feathers, synthetic padding, or fleece layers. So we thought, how do we increase the efficiency of insulation materials? How can we trap more heat and reduce the amount of insulation materials required? This is how the HeiQ XReflex radiant barrier technology came about. It is patented, and it's an innovative radiant barrier technology that's reflecting your energetic infrared body heat back to your body for improved thermal retention. The beauty of this technology is that it's such an ultra-fine coating. If your fabric was breathable that you've coated, it remains perfectly breathable. It's an ultra-thin heat reflective surface. It's added to just one side of the fabric by high-tech air vapor deposition. As you can see this illustration under a microscope, if you look at the front face of the fabric and you look here at the back face, you can still see the yarn that the coating is so fine it's not covering it. The radiant barrier can be used on the outer layer or on the lining layer. That in any way that you position it, it just needs to be facing the insulation with nothing in between it. So in this case, the radiant barrier works like a mirror, reflecting body heat back towards the body. Or you could have it on the lining layer. In this case, in lining, it faces away from the person to reduce the emission of body heat. The fabric is heated by the body on the untreated side and works together with the insulation layer to maximize warmth. Both are very effective means. Here we have a great example where we've tested the RCT rating of an 80-gram regular insulation that you may use in a jacket. You can see here the thermal resistance rating that we've achieved. We've then added one layer of XReflex fabric and reduced the amount of insulation to 60 grams. We've reduced the bulk by 25%, and yet we've achieved the same RCT value. And here we've added 2 layers of the XReflex. So on the shell and on the lining, we have only a 40-gram insulation and achieved 50% less bulk. So you can see with 2 layers, it's extremely effective. And now if you're thinking of areas where you want to have mobility, you don't want bulk, you want to be able to move easily, this is an ideal solution for this. What does it mean for the environment? Well, if you were able to achieve 50% insulation material savings for a reduced environmental footprint on about 10,000 jackets, this means you could save 81,000 litres of water, 3.7 tonnes of CO2 savings, and 141,000 megajoules of energy, so it's pretty significant. We offer fabrics which are coated, a range of fabrics. We have non-woven scrims that we offer, and we also have insulations which are optimized to be paired together with one of these fabrics. Depending how you assemble your product, if you wanted to use a non-woven scrim, you could expect to achieve about a 15% increase. Here's an example of how you would use it. You just insert it within your existing assembly to face the insulation. Or you could have 1 layer of fabric, expect about a 25% increase, or have 2 layers of the scrim inserted again within an assembly. Or like the example I described before, 2 layers of fabric, or maybe you have 1 of scrim, 2 of fabric. There are all sorts of different scenarios in how you can assemble the products together. We're here to help you with that, and we're happy to test your product and give recommendations as well to get the best performance levels. We, in addition, have this non-woven scrim, which has a 3D radiant barrier. This has already air gaps, which are created within its embossed structure. So this is pretty unique in that if you wanted to create the lightest run jacket, for example, you could have a shell, a lining, and this alone in the middle. This is the equivalent of, say, a fleece layer. Or you can pair it with an insulation as well and get even greater warmth. So To recap with what we've just gone through, it's a patented radiant barrier technology. It's allowing higher insulation efficiency and excellent heat retention. It creates thinner, lighter, but warmer insulated textile products. It's reducing the environmental footprint. You can save up to 50% insulation material, which gives you much more packable garments. It doesn't affect the fabric properties. So the breathability, there's no noise. It doesn't affect the handle. You can still have DWR and remain downproof if you require it. It's got exceptional efficiency and durability. It can last up to 20 washes. It's Okotex suited and aligned with RSL. The fabrics, most of them are made from recycled sources and are all also recyclable. Now I'd like to hand over to Tom, who's going to do a live demo for you.
Thanks, Kate. Hi, everyone. Okay, so what we have here is a hot plate and an IR camera. So you can see there's my hand coming through there. And what we're going to do is just show the impact of the XReflex coating on some fabrics. So here we have two identical fabrics in construction, and one is treated with our XReflex technology and one fabric without. Now, if we put these fabrics on the hot plate immediately, what you'll see coming through the IR camera is the inner lining layer. This is essentially the lining of your jacket or product is working to reduce the emission of the heat. So we have a low emissivity surface through our XReflex coating, and that's reducing the emission of infrared radiation from the body. Now we'll go and start assembling an insulated assembly here. So here we have a 40 GSM insulation, so that's the same piece across both. And as we lay that on top, you'll again see this greater emission of infrared coming through the untreated side. Now we can go and put our essentially our shell fabrics on top. And here you'll see this top shell layer on this side we have with the XReflex reflective coating and an untreated version over here. So what's going on here is we are reflecting the infrared heat back. So we have the low emissivity surface on the lining layer reducing emission, and then the reflective shell layer reflecting back as well. So we're having two materials in effect there. Now what we can do here just to further demonstrate the benefit is we'll add an extra layer. So that's another 40 GSM insulation layer there, and we'll put this fabric back on top. And what you'll see there, just as they kind of heat up and come back to temperature, what you'll see there is we'll see about the same amount of heat emitting through these assemblies. Yet this sample, the untreated assembly, has twice the amount of insulation. So that gives you a good example of the kind of benefit that you can achieve in the product. So half the amount of insulation, half the weight of insulation, half the bulk.
Thanks, Tom. And I'd like to now introduce you to Hugo from Solomon.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Kate. Let me start by just saying how grateful I am, obviously, to be with all of you today and tell you a bit more about Solomon and how we've been able to collaborate with HeiQ and the team to leverage the technology. So I think I have about 10 minutes. I'll try to keep that as informative and entertaining as possible. When I'm asked about who we are as a brand, I like to start with that one slide. Solomon is born in 1947 at the heart of the French Alps in a beautiful town called Annecy. And it was founded by George Solomon. And really, at the end of the day, if you want to remember one thing about Solomon is that deeply rooted in our DNA, it's all about innovation and progression. And that quote that George Solomon put out there, what fascinates me the most is what I'm going to do tomorrow, is really still resonating in the company loud and clear. So that's really who we are and what we're always trying to do. Salomon started in 1947 pretty much as a local metals key binding manufacturer. Grew up to become today, if you move to the next slide, Kate, to be a global leader in the mountain sports industry. And that is spanning from hard goods and soft goods, right? Skis, snowboards, shoes, footwear, apparel, bags, equipment, which is pretty unique in that industry. And also obviously covering fall and winter type activities. If you move to the next slide, again, the beauty of who we are right now is that we have a true global reach. Whether it's North America, East Coast, West Coast, LAM, Europe, obviously, which is kind of our heart of the brand, and then in Asia, Salomon has a global reach, which obviously from a product creation standpoint forces us to really make sure that we develop products that are the most meaningful for a specific end use and that are easily understood by most of the population. Okay, if you move next. In terms of apparel, couple seasons ago, we've kind of hit the reset button, and we've really tried to think through the lens again of that statement from George Salomon. And what it does for us is that pretty much right now, every product we're trying to release to market, we want to make sure that it's rooted and centered on innovation and differentiation. And that is where, if you move to the next slide, it was very exciting for us in fall winter 23, which are the products that you can actually access right now in the market. It was very exciting to partner with HeiQ and think through how we can leverage their technology to, again, bring products that are meaningful and real advancement in terms of end use. So after a lot of discussion with the HeiQ team, our design and development partners, as well as our athletes and consumer insight team, we've decided to release in fall winter 23 a brand new insulation franchise. We call it the Elixir insulation franchise. We like the name Elixir because it's about that alchemy of bringing different components together to create something quite unique. When we look at how consumers behave and actually what they like to wear and how they use their garments in end uses, we ended up identifying three major needs, and working closely with HeiQ, we're able to really cater to each one of them. So the first one is what I call the Elixir Hybrid. This is a very lightweight package that really is all about how to provide the right level of warmth without restricting the motions when you get active, either skiing, hiking, or running. That's the first package. The next one is a down product, and we call it the Elixir Micro Down. And this is really about more of a versatile warmth proposition. It's kind of that go-to jacket people like to wear every day, either in activity or on their everyday life. And then the last package, which is also very exciting for us, was about how can we maximize the warmth, meaning how warm can a jacket be with reducing to its maximum, the weight and the bulkiness of it. So those are the three propositions we brought to life. I think if you move to the next slide, there's the illustration of the products. On the left side, you can see the hybrid, the micro down in the middle, and then that extra warm minimum weight proposition on the right. What was exciting, obviously, is that we were able to really test either in lab or on the field each one of those products to really understand what is the best way to leverage the XReflex technology. So if you think about the hybrid, that's a one-layer solution. It's a 40-gram synthetic PrimaLoft cross-core package. And so this was really just about not providing a warmer garment, but just maintaining the right warmth when you get really active and in motion. The one in the middle is also a single layer of XReflex technology, but it's packaged with a high grade of down. And this was just about providing more warmth, because a lot of our consumer, men's and women's, actually require and wants to have a bit more warmth without necessarily impacting the bulk. And then the last package was really about going full on, right? This actually, through the testing with the HeiQ team, got the extreme level rating. So we're able to call that out through the ink tags. And it's really about using a double layer of HeiQ a high grade of down and kind of providing that maximum warmth for your coldest temperature, minimizing the weight and the bulkiness of it. So if you move to the next slide, what I tried to do is just show you how the product got activated and is being activated this season in our stores. So this is kind of the front window display of some of our key stores. We have elevated the messaging around the science of warmth, right? People want to buy warm garments, but what we're trying to build here is that we can be smarter in how we deliver that warmth to the consumer depending on their end use. And then I think I went in the store, and if you move to the next slide, Kate, I just tried to illustrate how the consumer is right now experiencing the story. So here, it's about the micro down. Earlier in the season, in September, we also highlighted the hybrid. And then later in the season, we're going to highlight the ultra down, the bigger puff jacket. What was great here again is that we've been able to work closely with Kate and the marketing team at HeiQ to really bring that story to life. This is a good example of how consumer will understand the technology and really appropriates itself the product. Last, I think, one more slide. Oh, two more slides for me. Just mentioning that obviously when you talk about consumer, you want to make sure that the message is clear and loud and very intuitive. So again, it was great to be able to leverage some of the asset that HeiQ provided us with the hang tag, which then leads you to more content online. And then my last point, I think I told you early in the presentation, we're all about end use, about bringing innovation and differentiation for our athletes and also our community of skiers and trail runners and hikers. And so it was great because we were able, through the development, to partner with Cody Townsend. Most of you may not know him, but he is a big deal in the free ski world. And so it was great to get him on board. And I just brought a quote. He's been spending some time in Antarctica to do some pretty extreme skiing. And as you can tell on the picture, he's been wearing the ultra down product and the micro down. It was so cool. He actually started to layer both together. But having that type of approval from our top athletes that have been using products for, again, 20 plus years during their career is a big deal. And so we're extremely confident about the product we've been able to bring to market. So I think that's it. With that, I think I'm handing it off to Nick for the rest of the section.
Thanks, Hugo.
Awesome. That was great. Cody's a legend. Super stoked about the whole thing. All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Nick. I'm from Mammut. Super excited to be here as well. Talking about something that I feel is super extraordinary. You can move to the next slide. So Mammut, as you might know, Swiss mountain sports company. So we make high quality products, sort of head to toe for mountain enthusiasts all around the world. Anything basically that happens above the tree line, mountaineering, climbing, hiking, skiing, trail running, and much more. On the next slide, you see a little bit about where we come from. We've been around for quite a while. And the things that make us us are sort of a conviction around high quality. Really, you know, as a Swiss brand, kind of makes sense as well to kind of focus on that, and drawing from as well as continuing to build expertise in mountain sports. This is really sort of a learning journey for us, even after, you know, 160 plus years of making products for mountaineers. On the next slide, yes, we've been around the block a few times, and today we serve a ton of different activities that happen in the mountains, as I just said, but we're so climbers at heart, right? And ropes is the first product we've ever made, first for agriculture, actually, and then quickly just moving to support mountaineering. But this is really, really something that stands at the heart of what we do. And starting with climbing products, we've always been in the business of PPE, sort of like personal protection equipment. These are products that essentially cannot fail, right? And that philosophy has sort of weaved through everything that we do, and even created new business fields such as avalanche safety. And that's just one of the areas where we make world-leading products. On the next slide, you can see that, you know, as we are mountaineers at heart, so our passion and our love is in the mountain. It's our business and it's our playground. And so we're taking care of both, obviously, since our very first day. Already in the 70s, we started using recycled down for our jackets. In the 90s, we started using recycled polyester yarns. We haven't talked about that much, but it's core to our business and to our heart. But let's change gears and talk about collaborations. So on the next slide, you can see, you know, as we're here with HeiQ, you want to know why we're doing this and like what is happening. So at Mammut, we collaborate to deliver added value to consumers primarily, but of course also any partnership must yield sort of benefits on both sides. And this is what you see here is kind of like a set of criteria that we look at when we approach partnerships and collaborations. And today I'm going to talk about a jacket that is innovative and provides sort of an improved consumer experience, but also offers a lot of scale and volume effects for our business. And on the next slide, you can see kind of like what the scope of this is. So you're seeing 3 Swiss brands that come together to create a truly extraordinary product in my mind. So HeiQ and Mammut have been pairing up around fabric technologies for quite a while. So we've been working together for years. And then Carlo, the CEO of HeiQ, had an idea about how we can use aluminum for insulation in our jackets. I mean, nothing new. We've been using aluminum as well, but like, what if we could make use of and recycle existing aluminum rather than go and sort of mine new material? And Nespresso came to mind immediately as a partner, and they have worked to give their aluminum capsules a second life for years as well. So it was kind of like a no-brainer collaboration at the end, but it was a really something that was just meant to happen. But before I go into what we've actually made, I want to start with the consumer. And so on the next slide, you can see like our target profile. So we're aiming to deliver a new solution to sort of environmentally conscious outdoor aficionados, right? So these are younger consumers looking for products with a more sustainable approach, while not, wanting to compromise on style or expressing themselves through what they wear. You can see a little bit of information that's important to us, like how big is the segment, the average age, gender distribution, like outdoor activities that they like to do, or also like to just consume or watch. You can see the kind of outdoor profile, the brands that they like and interests that they're into. These are all things that help us understand, like, okay, so if we come up with a technology like this, how do we then bring it to life? So now that we're clear about who we're talking to, let's see what we've actually made for them. So we created the Extraordinary jacket, and that's basically a jacket. I'll go into the technology behind it, but it leans into 2 sort of Nespresso flavors. So Ristretto, which is the black gloss jacket on the left, and then Così, which is the beige gloss jacket on the right. And on the next slide, you can see how we've positioned this jacket. Really, the focus of the Extraordinary jacket is essentially on the partnership between 3 Swiss brands, innovation, but then it's about warmth, right? Like we've heard about how the technology works. And here it's really just about Swiss design that delivers effortless warmth. So this idea that your body doesn't have to work extra hours or extra hard to produce that warmth, because the warmth that's already there is kind of retained in a stronger fashion, right? So that's kind of like on the inside of the jacket. And we've elevated that onto an emotional level, because actually that's ultimately what counts to people, that the extra hours that they can spend outside above the tree line because of that jacket. That's really what it's all about. So on the next slide, you can see how the technology works. We're using the HeiQ XReflex powered by Zefco with this 3D aluminized scrim layer. So we've talked about that just quickly before. So this is the layer, the scrim layer, that contains the aluminum that's recycled from Nespresso capsules. And then that scrim is sort of like sandwiched between 2 of our HeiQ insulation layers, and that's built throughout the jacket. Really, really great product, and super excited about that. And on the next slide, you can basically see how we're communicating that to consumers. So the focus there is really about performance and the warmth retention, right? Like on site and throughout marketing channels, we really focus on those aspects of the product, and that's primarily kind of like the 20% heat retention benefit. That's sort of like from our own testing, without making your jacket more bulky, and that's really like the kind of technical or more pragmatic benefit before we then really ladder up to an emotional benefit. But I also want to show you a few images of how we're bringing this collaboration to life for the consumer. So yeah, here you can see our key visual. Who doesn't like a cup of Nespresso coffee on a hike? This was shot in Mürren in Switzerland, and you can see some pretty recognizable faces in the back. Yeah, just a few more impressions on the next two slides. Another one. And then, yeah, here you can basically see how we've treated the landing page. It's a little bit of an, I think you need to click once again to start the video, but that's just, to show like how we've basically talked about the jacket. Yeah, don't forget to sign up for the newsletter, 15% off, not a bad deal. Here you can see we talk a little bit about the collaboration. We focus on the effortless warmth benefit, and then we send people basically into a little bit of an experience, and then into the product selections. Yeah, and so that's it from my side. I'm really super stoked about this. This has literally just landed in stores. We've received a lot of good feedback from both trade or from customers as well as from consumers. We're obviously working also with Nespresso. So in the Nespresso boutiques, the product will also be available. And since it's a lot of newness that is happening there, we've already sold quite a lot, getting really, really good feedback on the product. So we're super stoked. And that's it for me. Thanks a lot for being here.
Thanks so much, Nick.
Thank you. So we are now heading towards Q&A. Everybody, if you have questions to any of our speakers, please use the Q&A button. You can write. Okay. So first questions actually already came before the webinar. I'll just start with those. And everybody else, please use the Q&A button. So actually, this goes to Kate. Currently, I mean, HeiQ XReflex has been here for a few years now. So which sports brands besides Mammut and Salomon use it already? Can you tell us?
Sure. Some examples would be brands like the North Face, Outdoor Research, Mountain Equipment, HeiQ are just launching. So we've got a lovely range of very wonderful elevated brands utilizing the technology.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and next question goes to Hugo, actually. Can I buy the Salomon jackets, these Elixir jackets worldwide? Can I buy them in the US?
Yes, you can, absolutely. That's a great question.
So in the US, all over the place. Okay, so that's a fast one, yeah. Okay, next question about that one goes to Nick, actually. So you had the collaboration with Nestle, yes. So have you done that in the past, and will you do it again in the future? Go outside of apparel for innovation partners?
It's a good question. To my knowledge, we haven't done that yet. But will we do that in the future? Yes. I do think we don't know if we're doing a second version of this with Nespresso, but for sure there's a lot of goodness coming from collaborations, not just in the outdoor industry, and a lot of what's more unexpected and delivering sort of like surprise and delight moments for consumers comes from the more unexpected collaborations, which also means to look beyond our own industry. And I think that's also a very inspirational thing to do.
This question actually is a follow-up question for me. So does your research and development team, like this time, was really thinking outside the box? So are they like already planning to do this in the future, do you think? like really outside, because this is the special part that struck me when, I mean, I'm in HeiQ, but when the whole collaboration with Nestle and HeiQ, it's so unusual. I'm also in charge of social media at HeiQ, and this is the post that had broken all our records for likes, shares, comments. So this really resonated across the industry as well. So yeah, just as a question.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah, we've also gotten a lot of like great feedback, even before the launch internally, obviously. Lots of excitement also in the Asian markets that we serve. Obviously, Nespresso is a very well-known brand globally as well. And so, yeah, I mean, we're super excited. Lots of consumers are extremely excited about it. And it does bring, again, like some unexpected, surprise and delight moment. And yeah, for sure. I mean, this is the way forward as well when it comes to collaborations. I mean, a lot of types of collaborations have already been done. And there is some fatigue that we can see with consumers already for the more expected collaborations. And so, yeah, the more unexpected it is, the better. But the most important thing is still to remember that if there's no added value for consumers, then the surprise and delight, doesn't have a real, function for consumers. Yeah. So we're like, that's what we're most focused on is delivering added value for consumers.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Okay, next question. Ignoring the shell fabric, is HeiQ Reflect also downproof? Technical question, I think that goes to Kate.
The technology itself is an ultrafine coating. So for it to be downproof, you would need to select an appropriate shell fabric that you paired it with.
Okay. Next question, also to Kate. You have mentioned the breathability, but not, I was not able to see any test results on it.
Lovely question. And send me an email, and I would love to send you some great figures that we have around it.
So this question was actually asked by name, so we can send an email later. So we will answer this question per email with test results. Okay.
Great.
Next question to Hugo and Nick. How do you compare the heat reflection efficiency of HeiQ XReflex coating with Columbia Omni Columinium coating protection coating? Okay.
If you don't mind, I can jump in. I actually have worked at Columbia Sportswear for some times, and I think it's no industry secret that Columbia has definitely kind of led the way early on with that IR technology, infrared technology. What I believe is great with the HeiQ solution is that it's pretty much what I call an iterative innovation. Right? It's a great idea. It makes sense. A lot of brands are using this technology. But HeiQ is just a better solution. And I think it's all about the application of the reflective components into the fabric, right? So that vapor deposition that Kate and Tom has been talking about, the fact that it doesn't affect the hand of the fabric, right? Because it's at the fiber level. It is not a coating that just masks the fiber. That's where the difference happens. Softer fabric doesn't affect the performance, the breathability. So to me, that's the big win, and that's what really make us very excited about it.
Okay. Next one. What do you think about the future of these kinds of warm clothes? For example, and Nespresso, HeiQ, and Mammut product made a collaboration which used aluminium. Is there any new materials like aluminium for using in clothes? Okay.
Yeah, I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So the way we operate, I mean, this is obviously a really interesting collaboration, but it was also kind of targeted to a specific user. I think when it comes to warmth and heat retention or heat management for our consumers, we look at various different segments that actually that come to that solution of retaining heat or managing body heat in various different ways, right? So on the one hand, sort of more experienced users would leverage layering techniques to basically manage their body heat. If you think about ski touring, or if you think about mountaineering above, 4,000 or 5,000 meters of altitude, it really comes down to layering. But as we also want to serve a consumer that is maybe looking for more convenience, one single product that can deliver a heat retention like this product here with HeiQ technology, like that's the perfect solution for this specific consumer, right? That said, we're always looking into new technologies, new materials, new layering, like within a jacket, not layering as in many different products on a body. But yeah, we're obviously looking into the future and thinking about what kind of technologies we can use, and all of that with a really sharp focus on sustainability and reusing materials that we that either come from, for example, production waste or things that we can recycle ourselves. And there's a lot coming from Mammut. If you go at ISPO, you'll see what we launch in fall winter 24-25. Exciting stuff to come.
Next week. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Next question. It's a question for all companies. Thermal resistance is also very important in products. Do you have a limit or table for CLO values in your products?
It's always a discussion point, right? It's how far do you go in communicating actual numbers and performance? Nick, you probably better to articulate that, but obviously Sleeping Bag has done that a lot, right? Where it's very intuitive for the consumer to shop in. There's a temperature rating. But it's a sensitive topic. When you talk about performance and people being in the outdoor and some pretty extreme conditions, you want to be careful about what expectation you set with them. And each body reacts slightly differently. So at least at Salomon, and I think somehow in agreement with HeiQ, we've been cautious about it. And what I think is great with HeiQ is that the testing and the experience they have been able to establish some key numbers, right, on the different level and how much bulk you can get rid of. And I think that's the best approach to it, instead of throwing in numbers and not being able to necessarily commit to it, because again, the body will react differently. The sweat level, the warmth management is very unique to each human. So we are careful about it, but trying to be true to what the product does.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Next question. Is it necessary to work on your developed fabric, including outer inner layer insulation fabric, etc.? Either can we collaborate to use only HeiQ XReflex outer inner fabric in our products, so that we may develop our own product with your reflective fabric? That goes to Kate, I think.
Sure, yes, you can use one layer of our products and use your own insulation. There are different ways in which you can choose to do it. We can offer a coated lining, we can offer a coated fabric, we can offer a coating service where we work together with you on a development and we coat your own fabric. This would be done in Taiwan. And yes, so we've got obviously our insulation that's optimized for the technology, but if you had your own insulation, we're happy to support you with testing to show that it's a good combo as well. And work together with you to figure out what your needs are and how you can achieve them.
Okay, thank you. How much insulation was saved with the extraordinary jacket, Nick?
I think there's two ways to answer that, because essentially what we've done is we've used as much of the Jungdilac insulation as we've had in the base model for that jacket, but inserted a scrim, which added practically no weight, but way more heat retention, obviously. If we wanted to deliver the same heat retention, yeah, we would have used, half the insulation layer. I don't know if that, answers the question, but that's pretty much like what our internal testing data also would have shown. But this is a jacket that we kept as thin and as light as it was, but adding, a lot more heat retention to it.
So rather than saving, you really added heat. So yeah,
exactly.
While still retaining the thinness. Okay, thank you very much. Actually, we've reached the end of the webinar. There's still a few questions that haven't been answered. We will answer them per email, and if it's for our speakers, we will forward them to our speakers to answer. So speakers, thank you very, very much for these interesting presentations and beautiful mountain pictures. Really makes me want to go out, and actually regret it's now winter, but I prefer no snow as opposed to you guys. Yeah, thank you very, very much.
Thanks to Nick and Hugo for joining us. We're so lucky to have you, and for everyone listening, it enabled you to have better accents to listen to than mine. So really thank you for joining, and fire away any questions, emails to myself, and we'll get back to you very promptly. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, we'll keep on having webinars. I look forward to seeing our viewers next time. Okay, thank you very much.